All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Thursday morning Inner Circle live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Excuse me. Hope everybody's doing well today on this fine Thursday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper for notes, and let's participate and engage. All right. I want to take a quick look at fundamentals. Not a ton to look at. Have some things prepping for the day. And then we'll dive into the charts and we'll just work through them. All right. So if you could please just drop me one in the chat if you can hear me okay. Um, my mic has been interesting this week, so sweet. Appreciate it. And let's head over to trading economics. Give me 1 second, everybody. All right. Sorry about that. So at the top, China services growth strongest in over 2 years. We get some positive signs coming out of China. General services PMI climbed to 57.8 in March, the highest since November 2020, from 55 in February. The reading pointed to a third straight month of growth in services activity as the removal of the pandemic measures support activity. Both new orders and employment rose the most in 28 months, while export sales increased at a record pace. All right. So got some positive news coming out of China. And generally, what that means, right? We get positive news coming out of China. Then we have the potential for oil, right? Potentially continue moving up as well. So things just to keep in mind as things move forward. All right. Then we had UK construction growth eases in March. Right. We've been talking about the pound and some of the interesting positions that it's in. Right. Seeing things start to slow down in the UK. Right. UK housing price growth slows to 3.5 year. Assuming that's a 3.5 year low. So we got some things starting to get that back and forth in the data, right? So things to keep in mind: Eurozone construction falls the most in 3 months, right? Slowing down. So things just to keep our eyes on as we move forward. Crude oil eases, still set for a sharp weekly gain, right? Crude pushing to the upside as we've seen. All right. Over to the calendar real quick. And here is where we got our eyes. Employment change, unemployment rate for Canada, and unemployment claims for the dollar. A couple things to keep in mind. Also, challenger job cuts, right? We'll see some of the job cuts from the first round of layoffs in your tech sector start to hit some of these reports this month, next month, the following month, because those job cuts they had their severance packages were structured differently. A lot of those severance packages were structured where there were 3 months where the individuals were still considered employees of the company, and then after that 3 month period of time, they get a lump sum payment, right? And then they're no longer considered employees. So some were 3 months, some were 4 months, 5 months, stuff like that. So you'll start to see some of those come into the job cuts numbers and some of the unemployment claims as we move through the coming weeks. So we'll start to see this number start to tick up, right? So that's just something to keep in mind as we go. Okay. And then that's pretty much it for the day, right? And then tomorrow we got non-farm payroll and that series of reports that investors will have their eyes on for sure. All right. So that's it from a fundamental perspective. Are there any questions?
No.
No?
Oh,
All right. Cool deal. Let's take a look at these charts, man. Quick look at the dollar. Quick look at the dollar. Yeah. We ran this fib yesterday to the downside coming off of this right tip just to track things, right? And found support here, and we're pressing to the upside now, right, in a retracement form. And we'll look to see if price does get to these higher levels in the dollar, be it now or see if we get another push down and then get that deeper retracement like so, right? So we'll watch this to see if we continue getting that move to the upside in either fashion here, right? But potentially looking for price to come back to this daily resistance level or the 786 somewhere in this zone here potentially, right? We'll see if we get something like that before price turns back over and pushes back down to the downside. All right. Coming back to the daily, so I do have to make one adjustment here. Right. So we broke this daily level, which we saw. Okay. This daily support there. And we're finding support here. Okay. So don't have a swing low yet, but once we get it, this support level, right, will drift, be it here or if we push down to that next level there. Okay. So something just to keep in mind. I'll leave it sitting there for now, but we'll watch that as price continues to move. Okay. So that's the dollar index. There were a few that I wanted to take a look at. This Aussie NZD. Daily time frame, we press down, we hit the D extension, we're pulling back now, right? We broke out of this consolidation zone, which you'll see on the 4-hour time frame, right? Nice strong breakout. We're pulling back to retest this daily level here. Okay. From a larger perspective, this is what that move looks like. Okay. This is just a smaller wave here. Right. Those got taken out, pushed up. Now we're moving back down. Okay. So as we move down to the 4, here on the 4, we got a 50% retracement. This was that zone that we were trapped in. We broke out to the downside on Tuesday, right? And now we're pulling back. So what I'm looking for on this one, and we'll look at it on the 1 hour as well, but obviously I want price to come back and retest this daily level that we broke through here, the bottom of that zone. So I want to see price come back into this range here. All right. And then I'll look for continuation short. All right. I'll look for a continuation short. Coming back to the daily, what that'll give us, right? Potentially give us a new swing low if we get 2 days today and potentially tomorrow in this pullback, right? That'll give us a new swing low. It'll be a tight one, but it'll be something like this, right? Something like that on the daily. Okay. Oops. So we're looking for that action. Something like that. And then see if we can get price to turn back over and start making its way back down to the downside. Okay. So that's the action that I'm looking for there. So I got my eyes close on this one as we move through the day today and tomorrow. Looking for this. All right. And see if we get another push down to get to that D extension there. Okay. Keep that level. I'm going to take this level out since we since we broke that level. I'm going to take this one out. We'll allow those lows to stay the same. And we'll take this out as we move through as well. All right. So that's what we're looking for there. So now as we come down to our 1, this is what that looks like, right? I did have a fib running, right? A larger fib running here, right? To the downside. Okay. But overall bias is short, right? So I know price is moving down. So now I'm looking at these smaller waves for potential high prices to get short. All right. So I ran the fib off of this last high in the breakout of the zone, right? Breakout of that range. And this is where we sit. So that zone that we're looking at here comes in line with our sweet spot there. All right. 618, 786 range. Okay. So got my eyes on this move here. And then we'll see what happens. And that'll put us in a great risk to reward scenario for a move like that. Okay. Boom. Stop outside the A. And then our move down. Like so. Okay. So we'll be patient and we'll allow price to do what it wants to do. But that's what we're going to look for. Okay. And so that risk to reward here, we got 35 pips to above that A there for 130 to the downside. I'll take it. All right. I'll take it. So that's where we sit. And that could put us in a position, right, for an even longer move back down to this D extension here at 105. So that puts us right in the same range, 105, 640, right? Yeah, it puts us in the same range on that 4 hour. So beautiful scenario there. We'll continue to watch it and see how things transpire. I want to track the sub fibs here. See, here we go, right? Continue to look at that range, look at that zone, right? Running the smaller waves to the upside puts us in an 80-20 scenario on the 15, right? So additional confirmation of our idea, right? So that's what we're looking at on the 15 as well. Okay, so potential 80-20 scenario here on this Aussie New Zealand. If we get the price to push up here to retest that daily level, then we'll look short. All right, 80-20 on the 15. Questions on the Aussie New Zealand? No. All right. One second, everybody. Just want to get that one written down. All right, so that's Aussie New Zealand. This CAD yen. Watching this one as it moves, right? We had that strong push to the downside, and we're looking to see a couple things. So here on the daily time frame, right, we're still in this 80-20 range. Double bottom scenario, price trying to push to the upside, giving us a retracement. Now we want to see if we're able to push at least back to the top of the range at 101, 190, right? Here on the 4, you just got bouncing back and forth here, right? Not much doing, but you see the move to the upside and the retracement, okay? So we want to see as we track down to the 1, we got this 80-20 scenario here on the 1 hour time frame. Shallow retracement, 118 and 127. We're getting the sideways push here. Okay, so we want to see if we get a move back up at least to this 382, maybe the 618, right? And then see what happens if price is going to continue higher or if price is going to break down and keep pushing back down to the downside. All right, so that's on the 1. And then here on the 15, right? I copied that fib down to the 15, and I'm just looking here at the trend line breaks, not trend line breaks, but cloud break, and looking to see if we can get price to move back to these levels here. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at on this CAD yen. It's just pressing sideways right now, so be patient and allow price to do its thing. Move your stop out of the way, as I did here. I just put it down at the 618 retracement. I mean, at the 618D extension. And I'm just going to allow price to do its thing, looking for my take profit level there. All right, so that one's still in motion, taking this time doing this thing. Okay. Questions on the CAD yen? All right, cool deal. Yeah, we'll see if we got time at the end, Carolyn. Take a look at US 30. Then let me see here. Pound Aussie. Where is it at here? Right, this pound Aussie is still trying to push to the upside, right? So potentially we could get to the D extension here on the daily time frame. Okay, we'll continue to watch it. Here on the 4, right? This is the look. Stop is outside the D on the 4. We'll see. We had a nice move to the downside yesterday, kind of retested these previous highs, and we're pushing back to the upside. So we'll see if we bounce around or if we do at some point get price to turn over and press back down to the downside. We know, right, the pound moves a lot of times in favor, in alignment with the stock market. So if we do take a look at US 30, we might be able to get some indication on how these pounds may move, right? So, but we're pulling back right now, and we'll see how things transpire throughout the day today. Okay, as we come down to the 1, this is what it looks like here. Okay, on the 1 hour, we got a shallow retracement, and we'll see, right, if this is just a pullback for a continuation down, or if we push into that 118, 127 zone or deeper. Okay. So that one's still tracking sideways, and we'll watch to see how things transpire there. Okay. What was the other? Get an update on this pound yen. So we talked about this one last night, and it's interesting and in an interesting position. Overall, bias is short on this pound yen, right? We're getting some retracement right now, and we'll see how deep this retracement comes, but ultimately looking for price to continue to the downside there. All right, so we come here to the 4. We got an evening star pattern here, right? Decision, indecision, decision. Okay. Price moving down. So we're getting a pullback. So we're going to watch for price to retrace here and then look for a high price to get back short and continue this move to the downside. So coming into the 1, I'm tracking these moves to these waves to the downside, trying to get an indication of where that high price could be. Okay. We pushed into this 50% retracement zone. I think there's potential for us to push a little bit higher, right? Depending on how things go today and tomorrow, but we could potentially push a little bit higher into this zone here and then come back down. right? Two things that I have my eyes on. Okay. If we pull these fibs out just to look at this, got price coming to the downside here. Okay. We have potential for a crown pattern here. Right. Took out the previous low. Right. Foresee the right tip. And that could be a shallow one, right? But foreseeing that right tip coming there, something like that, right? Or being shallow, something like that. Okay. So this is what I'm looking at here for this potential, which is why I'm saying we could get a deeper push to the upside here in this retracement before we get price to turn over and press back down. Okay. So keeping my eyes peeled on that retracement there, coming down to the 15. I'm tracking the sub fibs on this, right? Fibs coming off the high. And these are the smaller waves to the upside. And that kind of gives us a little bit of potentially some confirmation, right? The 618 at 164, 625 inside that A boundary, which is in line with that last push to the upside here, giving us that right tip for then a potential move back down to the downside, right? In that crown pattern. Okay. And so coming back to our 1 hour, if we run this fib off the high to the low like that, right, that puts us in that 50% range if we come back there. Okay. So that's my thought on this pound yen. Looking for price to continue pushing to the upside there for a little bit. All right. And then we'll look for another move back down to the downside. Questions on the pound yen? Nope. Okay.
No.
Cool deal. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, doing great. Doing great. The spring is finally here. At least it seems that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, little warm weather starting to creep in. So I'm all good.
Yes, sir. Excited about it.
Indeed. Baseball season.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Today's opening day for the Tigers, so it should be an eventful day downtown.
For sure.
Yeah.
I sent you that weather. I know, right? It's taking long enough.
Heck yeah. Cool deal. You got anything you got your eyes on this morning, bro? I know we got that CAD news coming in later today.
That's all, man. Is that I'm paying attention to that CAD data.
Yeah.
Need some things to move, right? So I've been kind of sitting in that CAD Swissy.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that pair. Other than that's it right now. Besides what you're covering.
Cool deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And speaking of that, excuse me, I'm gonna take a look at that CAD Swiss. And this is where we're sitting on this one, right? Price is just ranging in that 118, 127 zone. We got another push down into that zone this morning, right? And we're trying to push out. So we'll see. Got a double bottom scenario forming here. Right? Double bottom scenario forming there. There we go. Excuse me. So we'll see if we get that push with that data, right? So we're still sitting tight there as well, similar to that CAD yen, right? Just hovering around in that 118, 127 zone. Just hovering there. All right. So that is the CAD Swiss. The other one I want to take a look at is this pound CAD, another pound pair, right? Just hovering in a key position. Okay. Daily time frame, we got to the 382. but we're hovering at this weekly resistance zone. So I'm waiting patiently to see if we stay below that level, right, and start making our way back down, or do we break it and push to the upside, right? This data could give us some help in one direction or the other. Here on the 4, this is the 80-20 scenario that we've been tracking, right? This one I did place the stop above the high here, right? And that's that weekly level. I believe if we break that level, we'll continue pressing to the upside, right? So my stop is up here. Like so. Okay. So we'll see what transpires there, but we're just hovering right now, coming down to our 1 hour, right? We're still in the 118, 127 zone, and it's 80-20 on the 1 hour as well, right? So we'll continue to track it and see. Price press down, got a pullback. Actually, is this? Didn't see this earlier. Bang. All right. So that could be our move there on this 1 hour, right? That could be our reversal pattern, make its way to the downside here if this holds. So we'll see, right? We'll see. We could be preparing for this move to the downside with this reversal pattern. So we'll watch, see what that data has to say, and see which way it pushes price. All right. I missed that. So that's the pound cat, right? Looking for that move to the downside there. Okay. As we come down to the to the 15, that's the 5. 15, there's your 15-minute fib there. Okay, just running them off the low. Right, so not much doing there, but we'll watch to see if that crown pattern plays out for us. Okay, questions on the pound cat?
No, sir.
Holding, yes, ma'am. Me too. Sitting tight, letting price do its thing. Pound cat, pound yen, pound Aussie. Let's take a look at the Swiss yen real quick, and then we'll take a look at some indices. Swiss yen is still hovering. There we go. Right, still hovering in this range. We pushed back up into the zone, and we got some consolidation happening here. Right, just pressing sideways, not much doing. Come down to our lower time frames. Ran the fib off the high here, right? That last high. And we're sitting in the 618 retracement zone. Tried to push to the downside, tried to break out of this small consolidation here yesterday, right? Had this consolidation. Tried to push to the downside. We came right back into the zone now. So we'll see how things move, right? That's a strong bullish candle there. We could push back to the top of that range there. All right. So we'll watch and see what transpires. Coming down to our 1. That's the move there. Okay. So we did push to a 8-6 retracement, right? Strong move to the upside. So if we do press back to the top of this range here, look out for that 1 hour D extension to get hit. Okay. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that to see if we get price to continue to trickle to the upside here. All right. Keeping that 1 hour D extension in mind if we do get that higher move. Okay. But we're just hovering at this daily level, just pressing sideways. Okay. Questions on the Swiss yen? Anybody still sitting in this wacky pair outside of myself? No,
I'm not.
No. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with these yens, man. We'll see. So let's take a look at Gotcha, Joy. Want to take a look at US 30. Got a request for that. So let's take a look at it. What's the symbol on here, Benny, for?
They have it now as US 30.
Do
so
Oh.
Or DJI,
DJI, yeah.
Right, Dow Jones.
That one in DJI. A little bit of a different look there, but let's go here. Do a markup on it and see what it is. All right. Yeah, they just added that in. So we'll go back to DJIA. We'll use this one. Similar deal, but not much. We'll come to the daily and work from the daily on down. We'll drop in our levels like so. There we go. That's our high there. We got our low here. Oops. I'm going to change these to red. My bad. There we go. All right. So support resistance on the daily time frame. Just going to frame this out real quick, and then we will we'll talk about what we see here. So A potentially stuck in a range, right? Top of the range, bottom of the range. We're trying to press back up. Okay. Trying to press back up here. We'll see if we get back to the top, right? But in the short term, been pressing to the upside. Okay. Been moving to the upside. Overall, as we zoom out, right? Been moving down. Press sideways through a trend line, right? But been moving down. Okay. Down, right? So stuck in a range, pushing to the upside. If we run our fib, we're going to look at from two directions. That's the fib coming down, right? Interesting. Shallow retracement 118, 127 zone, push to the upside, right? Push to the upside, 80-20 scenario played out. Boom, right? A got taken out, so we flipped that fib, run it off the low. And here we are. Deep retracement. We hit that A boundary with that wick there, and we're pressing long. So we flip the fib one more time, and we're coming down like so. Right? So within this range, we're getting deep in the zone now, right? Pushing into that close to that 786 retracement off of the move back up, right? So bouncing back and forth, but deep retracement nonetheless. Okay, so we'll come down to the 4. And we'll look at this a little more closely here. We'll put the 4-hour levels in on this one. Right. No other resistance levels, but we got our support levels here. Okay. Got the support levels there. right? And we'll see the fib here on the on the 4 hour, similar to that daily. Deep retracement, starting to press sideways a bit, right? It's starting to slow down. Hasn't really been super impulsive to the upside, but just been taking this time, bouncing back and forth, right? So that's where we are on the 4, coming down to the 1. We hit that D extension and we're pressing to the upside. So on the 1 hour, we'll flip the fib and run it to the upside. But we'll take these 1 hour levels. On the indices, I do come down when I do them. I don't do them frequently, but we'll go here. I'll put the levels in on the 1 hour time frame. And this 1 hour on the indices is similar to my daily on the currency. So that's kind of how I match them up. So take those out like that, right? So there are levels, tons of them in there, right? So we'll run our fib off the low. Boom. And we're trying to get to our D extension. 618 retracement. It's choppy, right? Super choppy, but 618 retracement here. Trying to get to our matching D extension there, right? Which we may get. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. We got that 1 hour level sitting there. It's just above that. So we'll see what happens today to see if we get this press to the upside like that, hit that level, and then see if swing high forms or if we continue pressing to the upside. Okay. So that's on the 1 hour. As we come down to our 15, zoom back out on this. Similar story on the 15. Let's take these out. Similar story on the 15, right? That's the fib, 618 retracement. Trying to get there. So pushing to the upside. So I wouldn't buy this right now, right? We'll wait to see if we get into this matching D extension, and then we get a reset and see what happens from there, right? So potentially one more push to the upside, and then see if we turn back over. That's your US 30. That's your US 30. All right. Questions? All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Cool deal. So, do you guys have any pairs that you have your eyes on that you want me to take a look at? All right. So that's all I have for today. Sitting tight, waiting on this CAD data. Euro dollar. All right, let's look at it. And this is something I drew in yesterday. I'm trying to learn these. I'm working on learning, right? These harmonic patterns, right, and being able to identify them. And we'll see if this plays out. I don't know if it will, but that's what I was playing with in my mind yesterday. But here on the euro dollar, right? Retracement here. Weren't able to get back to that weekly resistance level, started pressing to the downside. Coming to the 4, right? Similar to that daily, right? We're bouncing in this range here. Okay. So we'll see if we continue pressing down or if we start pressing back to the upside here, right? Overall, still bullish on the euro, bearish on the dollar. So this could continue tracking to the upside. As we come down to the 1, right, we looked at this yesterday morning and Ben looked at it last night as well. And these 118, 127 zones, they play out, man, even with data that comes out. So here it was. Strong push into the zone. We said we'll see what happens with the data, right? I was looking to see if we got a bounce and a continuation higher, and it didn't happen, right? This 80-20 scenarios playing out as we anticipate them to, right? So we broke back below this daily resistance level. Right now, see if we come back and retest that level. We'll see what happens. If we get something like that and a continuation short, or if we press back above and continue going long. Right? A lot of that's going to depend on the dollar and the data that comes out. Got some coming out today and then some coming out, the non-farm payroll data coming out tomorrow. All right. So that's where we sit. 80-20 scenario trying to make its way to that 382. Bang. Okay. So sitting tight on this one, right? I didn't play this to the downside, and then we'll see what happens with the news and see where it moves price from there. Questions on euro dollar? Nope. All right. Bounce back to this euro CAD real quick. I'm conflicted on this one too. These CAD pairs are so interesting to me. High in the zone here, trying to figure it out, right? If we press back to the upside and continue going long, or do we continue breaking down and push at least back to that daily level at 144.888? The data today could tell us, right? On the 4, we're just bouncing back and forth here, right? Just bouncing back and forth here. Right. So we'll see. So Benit, that's a great question, man. Why is it in spite of bad data for the dollar went the opposite direction? So you got to remember the dollar can be used as a risk on and risk off asset, right? So in times of uncertainty or times of potential recession, which that word is starting to get thrown out there, we can see the dollar gain strength in those scenarios, right? And with the mixed data that's happening, you have some data coming out of Europe where things are starting to slow down, even though the ECB is still relatively hawkish. You're starting to get some of that uncertainty coming into the market. So you'll see still some money, some capital still flow into the dollar as a safe haven scenario, right? It's similar to capital flowing into the yens and in some cases, in the Swiss franc as well, right? So you have uncertainty in the market. So when that uncertainty comes in, you can see the dollar benefit from it in some of those scenarios. So that's what we're starting to see is that uncertainty creep back in, at least in the short term, right? As they price in interest rate hikes potentially, and they're just trying to put their money in a safe space, right? So I think my thought is that's what you're seeing there. No doubt. Eurocat turning back over. That's what I'm looking to see, Joy. I'm waiting patiently, right? I think this data later on will give us some insight on that, right? But this is kind of the little wedge that we're working in. We'll see. We'll see. Bullish action, bearish action. It's just sideways. It could be. We'll see. We'll see. We got higher time frame scenarios that could be working against it to the downside, right? Because I'm also looking. So I got a longer term view and a shorter term view, right? The longer term view coming off of these higher time frames. We got an 8-6 retracement here. We weren't able to fully push and break it and get to that monthly level. So this month will be interesting from a longer term perspective. If we do turn over and press back down, right, I could see us at least getting a retracement of some sort, right? Because the price has just been moving to the upside, right? Just moving to the upside. I have two fibs running here. This is a capital fib running to the downside. There we go. Capital fib running to the downside here, right? 786 retracement, just shy of the 86 level, right? And then I ran the sub fib to the upside on the most recent impulsive move. We haven't had much of a retracement here, right? And so that wick a couple weeks ago pushed us into that 118, 127 zone. So with these two things kind of coming into alignment for me, I'm looking at the potential for this at least giving us a retracement back to this level here at 142. We'll see if that happens because the ECB is hawkish, right? I see your thought there. Because the ECB is hawkish, so from a long-term perspective, we may not get that longer-term move, but we'll see. Right, George's looking at this potential crown here. Get something like that, right? But that would also play into that retracement, right? If we get it, we'll keep our eyes on that too. Okay, so from a long-term perspective, that's what I'm looking to see if everything aligns for that retracement to occur. Right. So as we come down to the daily, you got an 80-20 scenario, price pushed into that 118, 127 zone, created that swing high, trying to push down, but we're stalling out here. Right. And then we get twisted. Right. On the 4 hour, we already got a 50% retracement. Price did stall in that 118, 127 zone, came back down. So we're starting to get a range type feel now as we get to the lower time frames. And then as we come to the one, right, you really see that range start to kick in where you got a 618 retracement here, right? And now price is just bouncing. So I don't know if it's going to turn over or not, right? My bias long-term is short. Like I said, back to that weekly level at 142 potentially. But that also is going to call for a lot of things to come into alignment and potentially at least in the short term, the ECB to kind of shift their tone, which I don't know if that'll happen. So we'll see, right? This is a position that I have in. I moved my stop loss down a little bit, and I'm letting it rock, right? So we'll see. We'll see if my long-term bias plays out in my favor in the short term. Okay, so that's where we are. It's data could push us in one direction or the other in a little bit. So we'll see, right? If we get a push down to get to that daily support level, right, push me into profit a little bit more. That's where we are. It'll be interesting to see how things track. Yo.
Hey, Ryan. Just to go back on that dollar question, right? In regards to the dollar rising. Another thing too, sometimes it's just timing, right? So we saw that boost in the dollar. You know, it does have a safe haven effect, but in the short term, I think it's more today. When last night moving into today, you're gonna have investors taking profit, right? In regards to their short positions on the dollar because you got non-farm payroll tomorrow.
That's true.
You know, so that's another part that's playing into a little dollar strength. But the expectation is still for that dollar to grind to the downside. Like I said, I just think with the non-farm payroll tomorrow, those short positions, they're going to close some of those short positions out. And I think that's why you're seeing, that move on that dollar to the upside slightly.
That makes sense.
But yeah. Because I when the question came up, I was thinking about it, but trying to make it all make sense in my head. But I think that's what's going on. You just have some short positions being closed out because of non-farm payroll tomorrow.
Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense, right? Covering those shorts. Makes sense. Cool deal. Any other questions? Right? Anything that we covered today, or anything that's top of mind for you guys? No.
No.
Cool deal.
Yeah. And I just quickly, right, I had briefly talked about those bond yields last night just for a quick sec, kind of just glanced over it, but that 2-year yield is down big time, man.
Is it?
So yeah, it's down big time, and that's when you look at bond yields and things like that and bond prices, that 2-year bond yield is usually a good reflection of interest rate expectations from investors. So when you see it sink as much as it has, right, those bond yields go down as much as it has, especially on that 2-year. That's letting you know that they're pricing in bets that the Fed is gonna cut rates, which has been their theory all along, that the Feds are eventually gonna cut. And so when you look at a lot of the fundamental data that's coming out on the dollar, right? The missing the forecast on these last few reports that we're seeing, you know, you can see that they're starting to place the bets that they're gonna cut rates. And that's why you see that 2-year yield, taking the dive that it's taking. Look at that.
Mm. Wow.
All right.
Betting that
So
they cut rates.
that's a huge drop off, right? Because that's, like you said, that's they base interest rate expectations off of that. That's that 2-year, that short term 2-year, right? So that's a quick barometer there. So you can see how that's turned over and come down like that. That's a huge decline. Right? You measure it, that's gotta be like 75 basis points or something like that. 75, 70 maybe, something. I just looked at it quickly, but that's uh that's a huge move to the downside on that.
Huge move.
So the sentiment is just starting to sour. That's your 2-year bond yield, Carolyn. But yeah. So but that's been the back and forth with the market and the Fed all along, right? Fed saying, hey, no, uh no cuts for 2023. And the market has been saying they're going to eventually pause and cut before the end of the year.
I don't have this one set up, but I don't have this one set up. I was going to run the fib on it to see where we sit. It's on the daily swing low there. I know that's backwards, but yeah.
Right.
I have to set us up an account here.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
there's something to think about.
Yeah, man. That's
yeah.
That'll be interesting to continue to track and see how that moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We shall see. That is definitely interesting.
Yeah. So it's still a lot of back and forth, right? So I mean the Fed cuts rates, you're looking at, the borrowing cost, right? And so it's always about the need is the borrowing cost, for companies, for investors and things like that. But there's a lot of different things to look at, because you look at the tightening of credit, and contraction in the market, when you head towards a recession. So it depends. Some sectors may benefit from it, and some may not moving forward because of the lagging effect of rate hikes. And that's what they're saying, is that we're still waiting to see the full impact of the rate hikes that have happened so far.
Right.
Let alone a pause in rates and cuts. So see.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that your question to Benitez? Answer to Benitez's question?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. As we'll see, because they, you know, that's typically a positive, but you're still trying to see how impactful the rate hikes thus far. You know, to see the impact that it's going to have on the markets overall and what the sentiment is going to be. So it's kind of too early to tell. You know, of course, the market typically likes that, right? But we'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We shall see, good people. All right. Well, we'll be back at it tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Asian session. You guys have a phenomenal Thursday. We'll see you tonight. Peace.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.